A great welcome, dear guests of the spiritual channel on YouTube with Gnosis and EB. And welcome to the sixth sequence of this series of videos. It is titled 006 World. And that is our topic here to be treated. So we start right away with it. What the term world says, this might be known certainly the most one. World concerns the whole appearance field of the being. And there with representationalism as well as non-representationalism. In Wikipedia it is said, world means all this, what is. The term, thus, includes not isolated phenomena, but a totality. And because the being encompasses everything existing, it is all-encompassing. In this way, we get a single all-encompassing world. And for it, there is a special foreign word. It is called total singularity. That which is singular and total, ergo must be a total singular world. Now, is there any alternatives, EB?
No, to it there is in logic no alternative. All-encompassing is always totally and singular, with which we get a total singularity as a world. This world is the world of the causality law, after which the final effect has to provide the initial cause. Therefore, it is clear that there must be a foundation for the world. The world foundation in turn can only be done by a capable structure. This must come out in the world, final from the world. The causal chain from beginning till the ending, as the world from beginning till the ending, has with it the sense of its existence in itself. The sense of the world is therefore first rank in its self-causation and self-preservation. The world has to produce a final structure which is capable, within of itself, to cause the world and to preserve. With it we receive a circle in which its ending must be responsible for its beginning. The causality law exists with it as the world, and vice versa, the world is a fulfillment of this law of causality. The world has the reason of its existence in itself, and with it in the world. Then the world foundation can be only a spiritual matter. Do you understand logic and context, gnosis?
This is not easy to understand, EB. But I think I know what you mean. At total singularity, there can be only one single and identical with itself world. Then a world creation, within this identical world, must take place in a spatio-temporal overlapping of this identical world. And that cannot be materially possible, but only spiritually. Time and space require that in space-time, the world foundation can only take place space-time-less, and therefore, only spiritually. For spirituality or intellectuality overlaps in non-representationalism spatio-temporal representationalism, and thus, this identical world. Yeah, as you can see, I have understood logic and context. The final structure, coming out from the world, ergo must have universal spirituality. Therewith the final structure is able to establish the causality law and the world. This is clearly the world authorship or world causation too. But it is not here our subject. Important and crucial is that the world has the reason of its existence in itself. This follows from the causality law by which the world exists as a causal chain. Next follows from the causality law that no world beginning could be, if not the world ending, would be pre-existing. In the causality law, the end has to be presupposed, and to itself about the causing of the beginning, to feedback or back those two, so that there can be just this identical ending. Thus, the beginning and the ending are in a reciprocal condition. So, without ending, no beginning, and vice versa, of course, no beginning, no ending. As a result of that, world and causality are congruently. The world ending about the world beginning feeds back, or back closest to itself.
I couldn't have said it better, Gnosis. Now cosmology assumes for the world beginning a tiny dot-like state. In this state, the world was totally symmetric pure energy in two infinity conditions. And full symmetry means that everything is the same without any difference, whereby it is necessary for the definition of existence always a difference is not present, there is no existence of this totally symmetric energy. And nevertheless, only something existent is able to help a virtually non-existent energy to the existence and to become, besides, the world. The final world structure has this existence and possesses spirituality. It is therefore spiritual in the capable position to be produced everything in itself from itself. In particular, the energy which it has to embody and is needed for the world elementary self-repulsion. With the self-repulsion, a space-time overlapping takes place and puts the final world structure for the duration of the world evolution in a beyond transcendence. This again forms the zero-selective back of the world. Only with the final again arrival from beginning and ending of the world to a zero-selective superposition, the final world structure has also arrived again with itself. With it, the world appears as an individual property of its final producer's structure. Anyhow, clear is that who or what causes the world, then also its owner must be. This is called authorship and is a fixed legal term. But we did not want to talk about it, Gnosis.
I already said that world causation must be a separate topic, EB. For the sequence, it is enough general to know that the world, as causality back closed in itself, cannot be possible without authorship or a causation. For who or what should be the licitly end effect, or the final structure, with the ability of causing spiritually the beginning? Logically, there can be therefore, to a personal world causation, with a causer, no alternative. Very interesting it becomes with the world, however, only when one asks himself how it should go on with the world, after its big banging origination. So, if the world is established and protected in its existence after it's carried out back closing by the causality law, because then the world evolution has been completed, and the time also. In the 005 sequence about the time, was already mentioned the time conserved, as a result of a temporal completion. But, what is a time completion, as a temporal, accomplished world? EB, it is evidently so, that the world evolution has in each of its phases a temporal completion. Let us take as an illustrative example just only the dinosaurs. I mean, nevertheless, these had been time-perfect dinosaurs, or is it wrong?
This is certainly so, Gnosis. But it is at the time completion primarily about the again arrival of the final world structure. But clearly, also the first bacterium was already a perfect bacterium. Nevertheless, actually the world evolution in each of its phases must show a form of perfection. Only then evolution can go on. What is not perfectly adapted goes down and disappears, whereby the adaptation of living things must be aligned to changing environmental conditions. Mutation and selection were the factors at the living beings, that this always so could take place. But of course, was and is every life form in itself perfect, and thus completed in time. But your question was, what is a time conclusion as a temporarily perfect world? Anyhow, therewith it is not about the perfection or completion of all previous life steps, but simply about the fact that with the appearance of the final world structure, the cosmic and biological evolution has got its end. With such final state of the existence, then timelessness or also eternity takes the place of time. And then temporal completion is the transformation of the complete world evolution to a timeless time conserve, which is eternity. This proved to be true, the temporal completion of all life steps in the world evolution. At the same time also results therewith that all alive exists at its time, at its place, indestructibly lively. Exactly that one has to imagine as a temporary world consummation, gnosis. Possible is only under the condition that the world possesses a final structure, and that this one, with spiritual embodiment of the world, can in itself execute the Big Bang by self-repulsion. Since then there is the world quasi only in a piece, as an indivisibly whole. Temporal completion concerns then the world as a whole, from its beginning up to its ending. All that, all together, results with the causality law, if one analyzes it only intensely enough.
Wow! EB. Temporal consummation of all, as a law of nature. This is the hope of the world, at all times, in all places. But your logic convinced me due to several factors. I am thinking particularly of the polarity, as the basis of existence, which applies therefore to everything in existence. Then there must be for time also a polar timelessness, with the meaning of fulfilled time. That would be the timeless time conserved. Without counterpole, the time would be an evidently paradoxical affair. In addition comes that the production of the world, within the identical world, causes a personal embodiment of the world. In a different way, a spiritual reproduction of the world cannot be possible in the world. In addition, the causality law, backclosed in itself, guarantees an eternally protected and established existence for the all-encompassing being. In the past, the people had always more the feeling as that they could imagine logically. They expected an eternal life, in luck and joy to themselves, with their religious belief models. This is indeed what we can expect with the temporal consummation of the world. Well, therewith we come at the end of our dialogue from universe and system. And so we say goodbye from the 006 world sequence. We would be very pleased if the video series would find your favor. Okay. Then up to next sequence. It remains to us faithful and recommend us.